I am in the woods just outside of Bastogne, Belgium. And this is the place from the book A Band of Brothers where Easy Company stood off the Germans. In the late summer of 2019, I traveled from northern France to Belgium on the high-speed train. I visited Brussels and then two very famous and historical battlefields. First, Waterloo, where Napoleon Bonaparte's reign ended, and then Bastogne, where part of the World War II Battle of the Bulge took place. I arrived in Brussels in the late afternoon, and unfortunately I had only one evening to see the city. So of course, my number one priority was a Belgian waffle, and yes, all the hype is absolutely true. I had zero plans beyond taking a walk and having dinner. This is a famous Brussels landmark, and I have no idea why, but the people of Brussels really like it, and it's been here since 1619. This is St. Catherine's, a church built in the 15th century, but completely redesigned in the 1800s. The fountain and spatch is a monument erected in 1897 for the mayor of Brussels. This statue celebrates the role played during World War I by Belgian pigeoneers and their carrier pigeons. Later I made my way to the Grand Place, which is considered one of the most beautiful squares in all of Europe, and I would have to agree. The Grand Place is the central square of the city of Brussels, dating mainly from the late 17th century. I ended the evening with dinner of mussels, fries, and a Belgian beer or two. Behind me in the distance is the island of Elba in the Mediterranean Sea. This is the island that Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled to for the first time. He escaped, raised another army, and then ended up losing to the Duke of Wellington at Waterloo. Anyway, that's Elba. I'm in the Mediterranean Sea, right over. The Battle of Waterloo was fought on June 18, 1815, and was Napoleon's final defeat, ending 23 years of war between France and the powers of Europe. My Waterloo visit consisted of this great view of the battlefield, the Waterloo Museum, a cool reenactment, a lunch break with a Waterloo beer, which coincidentally is the beer of bravery, and a visit to the famous Huguenot farm. The battlefield is near Waterloo Village in Belgium. Napoleon's army numbered 72,000 French troops, and the Duke of Wellington's allied army of British, Dutch, Belgium, and German units numbered 68,000. Also with the Allies was the Prussian army of around 45,000 troops. The Lion's Mound is a large artificial hill on the battlefield and commemorates the location where a musket ball hit the Prince of Orange, William II of the Netherlands. The lion statue on top has his paw resting on a spear, which signifies global victory.
C'est comme ça qu'on perd une guerre.
Yes.
Très beau tir.
The Waterloo Museum was pretty interesting. It started out with a reenactment of the French Revolution. But the highlight was this 360-degree panorama painting of the Waterloo battlefield. The fight for Huguenot Farm was a pivotal battle within the Battle of Waterloo, as the farm protected Wellington's flank. Napoleon's intent was to draw Wellington's reserves to the British right flank and then launch the main French attack through the center. During the first assault, the British lost control of the surrounding woods, but with massive support from artillery, they managed to beat back the French. A renewed French assault reached the farm's north gate, sparking one of the more famous clashes of the battle. A French lieutenant smashed the barred gate with an axe, and some 30 French troops rushed into the compound behind him. A British contingent shoved through to close the gates by brute strength. In the ensuing melee, the defenders killed all the intruders but for a young French drummer boy. The Duke of Wellington later remarked, "The success of the battle turned upon the closing of the gates at Huguenot Farm." Hi, this is the Huguenot Farm, the Battle of Waterloo. It's really the only remaining structure in the battle. Earlier today I was at the Lion Monument, which is way up on a hill they built overlooking the battle. Went to the wonderful museum, and now I'm touring the farm, and then later I will be on my way to Bastogne. Although the barn and farmhouse both burned almost to the ground, this small adjoining chapel survived. The crucifix was touched by the fire, and you can see the left foot was scorched. The right leg was broken off sometime after the battle. Victor Hugo, who wrote about the Battle of Waterloo, described the scene in the chapel. I quote, "The flames filled this building. It was a perfect furnace. The door was burnt, the floor was burnt, the wooden Christ was not burned. The fire preyed upon his feet, of which only the blackened stumps are now to be seen. Then it stopped, a miracle, according to the assertion of the people of the neighborhood." In the reconstructed barn, they had a very unique presentation on the Battle of Waterloo.
There is a duty to remember those who made history.
The fight for the farm continued well into the day, with each side committing additional troops. More than 6,000 men of both armies fell here. Some historians compare the battle at Huguenot Farm to what Little Round Top was to Gettysburg during the American Civil War. The siege of Bastogne took place in December 1944 between the Americans and German forces as part of the Battle of the Bulge. To be successful, the Germans had to capture the main roads in the Ardennes Forest Highlands, which converged on the city of Bastogne. On the 22nd of December, the Germans had the Americans, who were holding the city, completely surrounded. German General von Leutwitz sent a demand for surrender to American Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe. He gave the Americans 2 hours to surrender or face total annihilation. In his famous response, General McAuliffe replied with a single word, and I quote, "Nuts." The Americans held out 5 more days in sub-zero weather until they were relieved by General George Patton's Third Army. Upon entering the Bastogne War Museum, you are introduced to 4 individuals: a corporal in the U.S. 101st Airborne Division, a lieutenant in the German 26th Division, a young teacher from Bastogne, and a 13-year-old farm boy who lost his parents to the war. These 4 people reappear throughout the museum's exhibits, telling their stories of how the war impacted each one of them. And they all end up together in the basement of a building in Bastogne. It's just an incredible story. This wonderful museum covers the pre-war years through the end of World War II, and with a heavy emphasis on the Battle of the Bulge. This is one of the finest war museums which I have toured, and in my opinion, it is rivaled only by the Army Museum at Les Invalides in Paris and the U.S. Marine Museum in Quantico, Virginia. I am in the woods just outside of Bastogne, Belgium. And this is the place from the book A Band of Brothers where Easy Company stood off the Germans for over a month in like minus 20 degrees, middle of winter. Started on December 16th and they fought here for a month, but it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna try to find some foxholes. They say there's some remains of some around here. I think I found one. Here they are. Probably have filled in a little bit since I believe this was 75 years ago. 74 years ago. But, you know, just imagine here with the Germans coming, dug into these holes, pretty wild. I don't think it looked much different than what it looks like now. Earlier I was at the Bastogne War Museum. Very well done, very good museum. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is get in one of these foxholes. You know me, that's what I have to do. So you can see the foxhole, this one, right here. Anyway, I am in it right now. There's another one behind me there. There's one there.